There are many theories about the psychology of serial killers and mass murderers. Generally, these theories are divided into biological and psychosocial perspectives. The biological perspective includes things like brain abnormality, genetic predisposition, and other similar factors, while the psychosocial perspective includes things like childhood abuse, trauma, loneliness, and abandonment. Our subjects are the Mailoni Brothers, three brothers that ran amok in Luano Valley in central Zambia, terrorizing their community and killing 12 people in cold blood. In the previous episode, we established the nature of Luano Valley and the environmental and demographic factors that made it possible, if not easy, for the brothers to kill 12 people and elude law enforcers for nearly 7 years. In this episode, we shift our focus to the perpetrators themselves. What factors influenced the brothers to commit such murderous acts? Were they genetically predisposed or simply products of abuse? Did they have mental disorder or childhood trauma? I'm Victor SIMZ, the Z historian, and welcome to Dissidents, Deviants, and Demons. In the case of the Mailoni brothers, the causes for the brothers' predisposition to commit murder seems to be a combination of biological and psychosocial factors. To begin with, in the early 80s, the brothers' father, Mr. Chipokolo Mailoni, allegedly suffered from a cancerous wound. He was finally evacuated to Ndola Central Hospital in 1984 by the Flying Doctor Service. It is said Mr. Chipokolo died mysteriously the same year and was reportedly buried in Ndola. Now, Mr. Mailoni Chipokolo's death was as mysterious as his life. In the entire Luano Valley, no one seemed to know who he really was or where he came from, with some alleging that he came from Mozambique. Now, this is important because it is argued that the presence of a father or a father figure in the life of young boys helps reduce or prevent violent behavior in adolescence and adulthood.
The way the boys were brought up, because in the family there were 6 boys and 2 girls. In total there were 8. So the mother took up the responsibility of raising the whole family after the husband died. The husband died, the year was not specific, but he died when they were quite young as a family, because all of them are from the Mailoni Chipokolo and Janet Njim. Janet Njim is the mother to the Mailoni brothers. So they grew up with the mother, and one aspect that was coming out strongly, this unusual congregation around the mother. They congregated around the mother so much that it became like even leaving her to go and become part of the community at a later stage became very difficult.
The bond between the brothers and their mother was indeed very strong, and equally points to how parent-child relations can influence behavior. It is argued that parent-child relations can lead to fearful attachments and insecurities that can predispose children to violence. And the bond between the brothers was not just with their mother, but equally amongst themselves.
The other boys were kind of mild and not as vicious as Tunda, but they had this common theme of brotherhood. If you start a fight with one of the Mailoni brothers, you have started a fight with the rest of them.
Religiously, the Mailoni family were staunch Catholics, with Fabiano assisting priests in celebrating Mass as an altar boy. Later, Fabiano, Friday, and Nelson would leave the Catholic Church to join the Seventh-day Adventist Church, where they sang in the choir. From their strong religious background, it becomes obvious why the brothers were so obsessed with biblical texts and end times, and why they referred to themselves as Abasalwa, or chosen ones. Furthermore, the brothers' characters and temperaments equally made it difficult for them to establish relationships with other members of the community. Even as they grew up, the Mailoni brothers reportedly failed to fully integrate with the rest of the community in Luano. It is said that the brothers had great physical endurance and a reputation for being guzzlers of the local brew, Tujili Jili, and opaque beer popularly known as Shake Shake. Typically, once drunk, the brothers would act unruly and get into unprovoked fights with other members of the community. Another interesting finding in the valley is that one of the Mailoni brothers clearly suffered from a mental illness, commonly referred to as chronic schizophrenia. Indeed, Fabiano Mailoni, aka Tunda, as described by the locals, exhibited all the symptoms of schizophrenia: emotional instability, detachment from reality, and withdrawal into self. This would equally account for his many delusions and impaired social functioning, which in turn increased his propensity to indulge in violent behaviors. Given their reputation, compounded by his own paranoia, Fabiano strongly believed that the villagers had intentions of bewitching him, and as such, it is alleged he began consulting diviners for protection charms. Most of the villagers believe issues with the brothers started in early 2006 after Fabiano experienced one of his hallucinations. In 2006, Fabiano and two of his brothers, Mika and Stefano, decided to go to an area known as Shikolwe to consult a witch doctor by the name of Damasco Nkausu. Not long after their trip to Shikolwe, all the three brothers began acting strangely and started attacking locals and grabbing their merchandise. They further went on to ransack fields, destroy people's crops, and uproot vegetables from gardens and store animals. From threatenings to harassing passers-by for their goods, the brothers soon resorted to more aggressive forms of persuasion, which included beating up their victims. It was then that they adopted their popular threat, Tula Mutembo Ifitala Valafwa, meaning drop your goods, arrogance will get you killed.
Tulatu abanye. Ifutala barafu.
The brothers continued to harass the locals and carried out sporadic raids on their gardens and other properties. Initially, the brothers' actions were tolerated by the community and seen as nothing more than misdemeanors. The brothers were simply a public nuisance. However, this all changed when they first shed human blood. And this time, they did not go out looking for trouble, but trouble found them. In the next episode, we will look at the Mailoni Brothers' first killing and how it turned them from a menace into monsters. I'm Victor SIMZ. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more interesting stories from the past.